Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, high school tells us they have a right to play music, so we play some music too. I love my job. It can't be done, no matter what. I'm a renter. Understood. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. High school tells us they have a right to play music, so we play some music too. This happened in March 2020 during lockdown in Southern California. We live behind a high school, specifically the parking lot. We're used to the games, the traffic, the noise, and etc. My husband and I are working from home when they start playing music incredibly loud, so loud it's completely audible in all parts of the house. We check outside and they have set up a DJ booth and a PA system in the parking lot of the high school. The system is directly behind our home and several others. They usually set up on the opposite end where there aren't any homes, so we're confused as to why they've switched it up. My husband walks over and asks if they can lower it or set up where they usually do. The DJ says he can't and that they have a right to play their music that loud. He asks the police officer on site and he says there isn't anything he can do about it. Well, little do they know we just bought a PA system for our wedding. So we set it up with the speakers pointing at the DJs and starts blasting Slayer. They call us haters. They say we're being petty. Well, we have a mic too, so we announce that it's our right to play music. They end up moving back to where they normally set up and lowering the volume within a half hour. Turns out they were set up so parents could drive through to pick up graduation lawn signs. Edit: my husband and I have lived here for years. We are accustomed to all the high school activities. At the time, the school had already held several outdoor ceremonies and drive-thrus. We understood its lockdown. We understood the students aren't experiencing a traditional school year. We are also very aware of the fact that we live behind a school. This was the first time we ever had any issue. BC, they were playing Despacito at full volume at 8:40 in front of a row of homes. They've always played on the other side of the parking lot. Parking lot was totally empty. And at the time, there weren't even any cars in the drive-thru. There were maybe 3-4 during that entire half hour. And no, we aren't boomers but millennials. I guess that's the ultimate disrespect now, haha. I love my job. My job is in the railway as an engineer for anything with a current or that moves. A lot of this equipment is safety critical and can derail a train at worst or cause delays, which to management is just as bad, but that's irrelevant. On a quarterly basis we go around the whole railway network and check the equipment and ensure it's within safe standards. When we aren't out on site, we're on standby. My department is the center of all railway departments and a couple of other transportation departments, so we regularly get a lot of people dropping by the office with queries or requests, usually to do with what work is being carried out ATM, as we have many projects on at once that can mess with other work or show that equipment is faulty when it's just being worked on. As they can drop by, not many have our numbers except the on-call managers. So we are on a night shift during bad weather, can cause more faults on the track, and usually we will get more queries from other departments wondering if this is us or a real fault. We are chilling in the office, cups of coffee, writing reports, and of course on our phones and having a laugh when in walks the manager on call for the night, Dee. Dee was from another department but still got manager on call, as it is a rotation and they cover multiple departments just for nights. He comes in and isn't happy but leaves and comes back 20 minutes later with the same annoyed look on his face. He asks us if we have nothing productive to do in a tone that sounds like we just asked a stupid question. Very condescending. We try to explain why we're not out doing work, but he cuts us off and tells us to find somewhere to go and something to do. He doesn't want to see us sitting about in the office. So we do just that. We go out to a remote part of the track, find an equipment room, and we go in and resume our relaxation as there's no one else there. It's only accessible by walking up the track, which you can't do unless you go through a whole ordeal. It only took 25 minutes of rest, or roughly 1 hour since we left the office, for Dee Dee to call, panicked. Apparently the other departments were getting fault calls and they weren't sure if it was our department or actual faults. Now we have plenty of contractors out on other projects and we have software to check if it's been booked out for work or if it's actually down. We calmly explained that we were now out at an equipment room doing work and we would have to call when we're done as you can't interrupt safety critical work. This all resulted in him getting 113 calls, according to one of Dee Dee's mates who he complained to, from other departments trying to get a hold of us. He has access to the same software as us but obviously a different department, so he had no idea how to use it. The aftermath was that Dee Dee looked incompetent to his higher-ups and made sure to leave us alone in future. He did try to have the rules changed so that he had more power over us and could interrupt us whenever, but that got shot down quickly as, again, safety critical. It can't be done, no matter what. Hi everybody, hope the week is going good for all of you. Let me know if it belongs here. This story is for when I just got to my first semester in college, 2018. I was doing a little bit of activism and had to pass a letter to the administration so they can approve a few days of absence whilst I was traveling to another region of the country for a congress which featured college students and that kind of stuff. The thing was, I had to do it written and printed. Odd, since an email would be enough. I was already on the office and the closest place where I could get something printed was a round trip downstairs of about 20 minutes long, so I asked the intern there if I could use the printer so I don't have to walk down, pay for a slice of paper, and come back with it signed. He told me it can't be done, it was only for institutional use, not for the students. Didn't matter how silly was my request, the answer was always, don't. So I decided to just walk to the back door of the office where all the teachers of my career were located. I pictured my advisor Professor and told him I needed to print this letter and if he could help me. Then, we came back to the front office, where the intern was sat. My professor printed it just in his face and handed it to me, and I proceeded to hand it to the intern so it can be approved. Maybe not so malicious and the guy was just not sure if it could get him on troubles, but oh well, it was a funny face he made at the end. I'm a renter. Understood. This is long so I am sorry if it doesn't satisfy ya haha. So let's start with some context. My mom and I moved into my grandma's house when I was 5. My mother already lived with my grandma, so she was also part of the household. Firstly, my aunt has never done anything with her life. She liked to say she had to take care of my grandma, but my grandma was a feisty old Mexican lady who happily handled everything herself all the way until she got cancer in her very last year of life. She used my grandma as a crutch to never get a job or really any source of income ever. My mom and grandma paid for this house every year and kept it up and running. Fast forward to me being 22. My mom died of cancer. We knew my grandma wouldn't be able to afford the house herself, so my wife and I stood to help because we felt bad leaving right after my mom died. So for 2 to 3 years we handled the house taxes, the electricity bill. When the air conditioner broke we paid to fix that, and I also gave my grandma my old car when I got a new one so my aunt could take her to her doctor appointments and whatnot. I did all of this because I was taught to be there for my family by my mom. After those 2 to 3 years, my grandma died. So now it was only our income and my aunt needing to be supported by us. Again, this is how I was taught family takes care of each other. We felt bad leaving my aunt after my grandma died, so we stayed again. Bought food for her, cooked for her, I even handled all the dishes and house cleaning. I mowed the lawn, I handled any insect issues the house was having, even gave her our recyclables so she could have at least a little money for stuff. So it finally gets to a point where I confront her and say, "Look, my mom helped pay for this house, now I am too. My wife and I want to help you." Notice I said help and not take the house away from you, make the house nice again. We want to get new carpet, fix the broken windows, etc. For this though, we'd need you to co-own the house with us. We aren't gonna put our money into it just for you to sell it and we end up screwed over. Or also, if you just happen to die young, the house would just go to the bank. That's a whole other long story, but it's what will happen. She of course said no, but only because she wants the house to herself and I'm her ownership. She's very greedy and selfish like that about everything. So we end up arguing and I say how we stayed because we cared and wanted to help. We want to continue helping, however we can't just blindly funnel money into your home when we need to make sure our living situation is secure. During said argument, I say how we've been nothing but caring and don't want to take the house. We just want to work with her. Again no. So I start to get frustrated and I say how can you be like this to me, especially when both my mother and I have paid for this house. We put more into than she ever has. I don't feel owed, but I feel that us working together and owning the house together would be fair since she doesn't even pay for any of it. I said how we stayed after grandma died to help her. Her exact words were, "Well, you should have just left." That hurt a lot because all that was just for nothing. Not even appreciation. Fast forward to another argument and I bring up how I feel it was wrong of her to take advantage of my mom the way she did. There's way more context to that than above, but again, whole other long story. When I say I think it was wrong, her words were, "Well, take it up with your mother." That broke me because I was super close to my mom and she had only been dead for like 2 years, so it was still very painful. That was my breaking point. I could not help somebody this selfish and hurtful. I told her that was awful of her to say that. That this house is ours just as much as it is hers. She says, "Christian, you guys are renters. Cue malicious compliance." I say, "Oh, we're renters. Okay." So I started going by doing exactly what me and my grandmother agreed upon when we moved in. I paid the electric bill and the house taxes. That's it. Mowing the lawn. Sorry, wasn't part of my lease. Handling the insect infestation. Nope, landlord's issue. Cleaning your dishes and the 800 pictures you have on the walls filled with dust. Yeah, not my problem. My wife and I care for ourselves now. Her house is going more and more to ruin. Windows have broken more, the air conditioning broke again, the shower broke, water heater broke and damaged the living room and walls, termites in all the wood. All, not my problems. My wife and I are currently in the process of finding a place and moving out. We might not even tell her when we do move and just up and leave, letting her sit in her own filth. I mean, it's not in my lease that I need to give a notice. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.